Hey everybody, it's GoblinX and welcome back to another Edge of Eternities Sealed Arena Direct. We've already had two of these. There was an Arena Direct where you could play Best of One Sealed to win Collector Booster boxes, and then there was a second Arena Direct you could play Standard or Sealed to get those Play Booster boxes. And now there's a third Arena Direct. We already won the first two, we got some boxes there. But I guess we'll give it a shot again if they're going to throw another one of these Arena Directs up there. Now that said, because I do already have a Collector Booster Box and Play Booster Box of Edge of Eternities in the bag, I'm not going to do too many runs of it this time around. We're just going to do a couple over the weekend, and whatever we get is whatever we get. Not going to make myself keep running it until I get at least one box. If I don't get a box in a few runs, it'll just be a few runs. So without further ado, let's hop back into that Edge of Eternity's Best of One Sealed minefield and see what we get to open today. Alright, reasonable rares here. I mean, Bioengineered Future, Loading Zone, some of the worst rares in the set. But we have some of the best rares as well, like Anti-Causal Vestige, since it fits into your deck regardless of color. Sunstar Chaplain, excellent, great aggro rare in white. Sunset Saboteur, great aggro rare in black. The Diadrine as well, really good for the green-white counters deck. You can cast this for super cheap. You don't have to see that X in its mana cost and instinctually think, oh, this is a 6-drop, this is a 7-drop. That's something I used to do with this card early on, but now that I've played with it more, it's like, no, you can cast this for 3 or 4 mana and it's still fantastic. And then after those really high quality rares, we have a couple that are still pretty decent. Emissary Escort and Zoofit could be decent role fillers, so pretty good stuff overall. You know, despite having 3 rares that don't do too much, we have 7 that are at least okay. The Mana Confluence, of course, if we go for a really splashy deck, could be helpful. All right, let's see what we've got for our colorless and multi. This set is so weird. I mean, this is abnormal even for this set. My train of thought has completely derailed. My only colorless and multicolored cards in the entirety of this sealed pool are my rares. 1 rare land, 1 rare colorless spell, and 1 rare multicolored spell. What are the odds? Cursed run? Blessed run. I'm going to go with Blessed run today, and we'll just get 7 wins and get a box immediately and just play no more this weekend. I don't know. Weird stuff. I mean, if there was a time to get an anomaly, it would be when we're in the space set. Check out what we got in our individual colors then, because I guess that's all we've got. Starting off with white here, we have, of course, Sunstar Chaplain being incredible. Solid removal, there's a Banishing Light there. I guess there's only a Banishing Light for solid removal. Reroute Systems is very narrow removal. Only 2 damage and only to tapped creatures, so it doesn't kill everything you need it to. It's not going to blow up cards that are sitting outside of combat with good abilities, and it's not going to blow up anything with more than 2 toughness. But it at least gets to be used as like an indestructible trick as well. So we're certainly lacking when it comes to removal. We'd want a secondary color that has a lot of that. But we have some pretty decent creatures throughout the curve. Could definitely use a little bit more creatures. But primarily, we could really use some great removal if we want to play white as a color out of our backup color. So blue now. Cryologist is super bad. 1 Desculpting Blast and 1 Lost in Space for interaction. Whales are pretty filler. Mechanizawa is filler, but they're super playable filler. I mean, there's an artifact theme going on here. If we have a secondary color that has stuff that really cares about artifacts, blue might be an interesting color to play. That'll make the power level of Mechanassembler and Emissary Escort go up quite a bit. So I could see maybe blue-red. I don't think we had a lot of white cards that cared about artifacts. Those are the 2 color pairs that tend to do artifact-focused stuff, sometimes blue-white and blue-red in this set. Particularly blue-red is really where it would be at. So interesting stuff. It's not great, but it's not terrible. It's interesting enough to keep in mind primarily, again, towards blue-red if we have a bunch of synergy red artifact cards. So black looks okay. Really wish we had more removal here, because I think Sunset Saboteur, just a great, cheap, aggressive rare like that, would fit very well into our white, pretty creature heavy, trying to be aggressive sort of deck. But we also didn't get too many other cheap creatures in black. So despite how well the Saboteur pairs there, the lack of great removal, just one Delicacy and one Oblivion in the color pair is a little awkward, and also the lack of like great creatures that black is giving us, the lack of a quantity of good creatures is pulling from the color as well. There's one really good creature, a very solid one, and then pretty much all filler. A couple pieces of good filler though. I do like Blade of the Swarms and Perigee Beckoner. Yeah, black is super reasonable. Pretty comparable, I think, in power level to the white, although white gets the nod by a tiny bit for having a higher quantity of spells overall. The removal is pretty equivalent. Banishing Light for the food removal spell, reroute systems for the Embrace Oblivion. What do we got for red? Not a lot of cards. We do have a Bombard and a Plasma Bolt, so we got some cheap removal for small creatures. We've got triple Nebula Dragon for big top-end creatures that come with removal spells attached. This could be cool if our green is like incredible, I guess. If we have like tons of lander tokens to ramp into multiple 7-drops. Triple Nebula Dragon is kind of interesting. But we really didn't get there in terms of like that blue-red artifact deck. These artifacts are just not very good. I mean, the Mechan's pretty bad, and these two are super filler. These are good filler, but still. That's like 3.5 artifacts I really care about. And obviously no colorless artifacts. All right, finally, let's see what we've got in green. We do have one removal spell in this color. We have a Diplomatic Relations. I do like that. We have Great Ramp, Double Gene Pollinator, also a little bit of fixing Sammy's Curiosity, as well as Larval Scoutlander, as well as 2 Gene Pollinators. The Agrarian spits out landers whenever it becomes tapped. Okay. So because of our lack of removal here, overall, I like the idea of going for a green-white deck at the core, because green's got plenty of solid creatures, good cheap cards as well that ramp us up and fix us. And then, of course, just a lot of fixing in general. And we get to play Diadrine in this color pair. I'll play Greenhouse and Broodguard Leap for now, but I think they'll be some of our first cuts. But here we get to play 2 of our best colors, and also by playing green and having access to all this fixing, we get to play all of the best removal out of a 3rd color. So we can get the highest card quality possible, I think, in the green-white splash another color deck. Or like green-black splash another color could work too. Which looks better? If we go green-black splash another color, we have to go green-black splash white. So we can play Diadrine, I think. And then we throw in a Banishing Light off the splash. And we can play the card draw. This looks exactly fine. I think I like white better as a base color. Yeah, I certainly do. I just prefer these spells overall. Do we have any Exosuit Savior combos here? Card is a very bad stat line when you cast it without getting any synergy out of it, so it would take quite a bit of synergy to get me interested in it generally. There's not a ton. We could Banishing Light a token, then pick up the Banishing Light and play it again. We could Larval Scoutlander, pick it up, play it again. I could technically Night Luminary again, but that's a very, very mana-intensive play. Spending another additional 4 mana for a single 1/1. And because I picked up the 3/2, then I'd also need to be in a board where I can spend all that time. I don't love it. I guess it's solid with auxiliary boosters, but it's also quite expensive. Which way do we splash here? So our really strong rares that are outside of this color pair are cheap spells, which is an issue, right? Because the power of a card like Sunset Saboteur is mostly due to the fact that you get this thing out on turn 2 or turn 3 on average. You top deck this in the late game, or you have to wait until you hit your splash color and then you play it on like turn 5. Significantly less exciting. So not really getting a super great splash out of black outside of removal. But I'm not getting that in any color, I guess, because blue just has Emissary Escorts. We definitely can't hit double black for Zoophyte. And in red, there are no rares, just Nebula Dragons, which are pretty splashable. Because we only need a single red mana, and we don't need it till we have 7 lands total. So that is fine, but I think I just like black's removal better. I think I'm literally just going to splash 2 black removal spells and nothing else. Still plenty card quality in just green and white here. So all we really need to add to the deck here is a little bit of removal, and we're good. 7 cuts here, 21 creatures, 9 spells. Can definitely cut at least 4 creatures immediately. Broodguard, Elite, Greenhouse are just bad cards, don't at me. Warden looks pretty filler in here. I don't think we have anything that cares about the high toughness ability, so it's just a 4/4 Vigilance for 4 by itself. Okay, it makes our Pollinator slightly bigger, but that's super filler. Sky Stinger looks like our most filler of the 3 drops, right next to Flight Deck Coordinators. But it's still like at least 3 like actual creatures here at 3 mana. I prefer the Coordinators there. Especially with a Gene Pollinator deck, makes it easier to get that life gain trigger going. This is pretty reasonable, and still 2 cuts to go. I cut 1 Spacecraft in the middle of that, so I'm still at 17 creatures. I could cut 2 more creatures if I want. 15 to 17 is the average for a creature-heavy, semi-aggro-y deck, which is generally the majority of decks in Limited. It's just a really simple, really easy rule of thumb to go by if you can't decide. 15 to 17 creatures. Only got 2 black spells in the whole deck. This isn't helping us get down to 40 non-land cards right now, but I do want to mention, like, with only 2 black spells in the whole deck, only 2 splashes, we have Curiosity, Scoutlander, 2 Gene Pollinators, Agrarian, a single swamp. That'd be at least 6 black sources. Probably not worth running a land that costs us a life every turn no matter what at that point. Yeah, if we have this like in our opening hand, like every time we cast a spell we take a damage, every time we use any mana. There's a hefty cost on that fixing, so if it's not absolutely necessary, probably just don't run it here, because that can easily stack up into like 4 or 5 damage. Just an uber shock. These 4 enough to not run reroute systems. You gotta cut 2 of something. Actually like Honor a decent amount. I think it's just a good cycling card. Just good value for the cost. Really don't want to cut any 1s or 2s, because that makes Gene Pollinator worse. Pollinator is also great with the Curiosity. Don't have that many 3s either. Maybe I could just cut one of my random 5/5s? Something like that. I am probably okay to cut one of the 3s. Maybe we can just play 1 Flight Deck Coordinator. Yeah, keep things a little more skewed towards the top end. Just a tiny bit more skewed towards the top end. Since we have, again, double Pollinator, Scoutlander, and Curiosity, and Agrarian. Alright, I'll cut a Coordinator, and I think a reroute systems in Honor would be reasonable to cut. I just prefer the Honor. Field Reroute is gonna be just the indestructible spell, like the vast majority of the time, which is just not that great. Alright. Looks perfectly fine, and we got a lot of power in here. Vestige, Diadrine, got pretty decent mana, lots of great fixing, good curve outs available. Very, very standard deck here, but pretty solid looking in terms of power level overall. I will cut that Evendo, double check my mana base here. We got 12 green spells, 9 white, 2 black. We will go 9, 7, 1. That way we can, as consistently as possible, get these Gene Pollinators out turn 1 while still having a nice high amount of white sources as well, because we've got plenty of those throughout the mana curve too. Yep, 9, 7, 1. Call it a deck there, hop into the gameplay, and see how far we take the third Edge of Eternities Arena Direct this time around. Here we are on the draw for game 1. Great mana here. We have 2 different copies of Gene Pollinator, even if they deal with the first one. And we have our 2 core colors, green and white. They start with a Blooming Stinger. 2 can play at that game. Yeah, I think we want to do it this way. We want to have this Stinger untapped over one of the Pollinators, because I can't even trade with a Blooming Stinger with a Gene Pollinator, but now I have that option. Green-white mirror match. Galactic Wayfarer hits the board, gets them the lander towards their future. Plays awkwardly. We don't really do much of anything until Godmaw. We just pass through here. Scroll. Excellent fixing. Lander plus all fate scroll. They've already hit 3 of their colors naturally. Green, white, and blue now. Vestige gives us something to do pre-Godmaw. Yeah, we'll warp that. I don't actually have a way to hardcast it yet. I can get 5 out of 6 mana. I don't have enough permanents to tap to the Pollinators. Great draw. See what the Vestige draws off of its Leave the Battlefield trigger. Tenderfoot, also a great draw, because we get to put it out for free. And that is the additional permanent that we need to hardcast Anti-Causal Vestige off the Pollinators next turn. Second blue source will be the choice off their lander token. Aaliyah from our opponent. Great card draw engine. So every time one of their creatures with +1/+1 counter hits us, they draw a card, and every time Aaliyah attacks, they put a +1/+1 counter on another creature to make sure the whole board is able to do that kind of nonsense. So we'll have to trade the Blooming Stinger off this turn to prevent the card draw. Unless they just don't swing. But they do. This will lock me out of playing Diplomatic Relations to kill Aaliyah, but I think it's worth it. And actually I still can, because I could just do it on the Tenderfoot instead here of the Blooming Stinger. I think that's worth it. She is a problem. I don't mind getting the Death Toucher off the board. It's not a terrible trade for our opponent either, because the Tenderfoot could theoretically get much larger as the game progresses. But killing the Death Toucher before we play a 7/5 does seem pretty nice. So if they have nothing else to do, their All Fate Scroll can be sacked to draw at least 3 cards now. There's the Dauntless Scrap Bot from our opponent for another Lander token. And then warping a Night Luminary for the extra 1/1. Fair enough. Flight Deck Coordinator is the play. Alright. Don't think I want to send here without Vigilance, because I do need Critical Mass of Permanence on board to tap for mana. This becomes tapped Surveil 1, so I can Surveil 1 off the pilot. You can get a cost reduction on Coordinator here, and get the Coordinator trigger. Oh. Yep. That's what I was talking about with the Gene Pollinator tap combos. We're going to get Flight Deck Coordinator value, and then we're also going to get Sunstar Chaplain value pretty easily, which should be fantastic. Alright, they don't have a fourth color of basic that they can pull out just to make the scroll better, so scroll likely to just be a draw 3 unless they opened any dual lands. It's a 7 mana sack it, draw cards equal to the number of differently named lands you control. Yeah, I kind of... I like how after I highlighted it, I saw them highlighting it again. I was like, I wasn't showing it to all of you all, because whenever you hover over somebody else's card, it does highlight that you're hovering over it. So you can kind of incidentally remind your opponents of their own cards. Which they probably want to do that no matter what, but you never know how much you're missing out. Or how much value you're giving away by reminding opponents of relevant abilities. Should I just play Vestige here over Chaplain? No, I think I'm just gonna play Chaplain. Oh yeah, I'm trying to get to Godmaw. We keep that land, and then I have Godmaw mana. It's going to be a long game of Magic for sure. I mean, I guess if our Starfighter pilot just surveils into a bajillion lands, it could end up going pretty quickly. If we wait to play the Godmaw until I can go Godmaw land for turn, crack the lander, that could get like a 1-turn kill with the amount of damage it provides. Pinnacle kill ship. Well, there goes Sunstar Chaplain. Could remove the coordinator counter to tap Scrapbot here. Make it so kill ship is slower to station, but they don't really want to tap the Scrapbot to station the kill ship in the first place. Vestige here. And it's basically just immediately a flyer at worst. And the land it gets is relevant. So that's our way to hit the land drop towards the big Godmaw turn and start flying over. Starwinder. Well, we just got Splinter Twinned. Can't really play around a random rare like that. It's a very specific one to have. Yeah, we don't care about the damage that they're dealing to us literally at all, but having them draw 7 is backbreaking. And it is a May ability, so they won't mill out or anything. Well, we probably lose to that Starwinder. But if we have any shot, it's going to be a surprise Godmaw lethal here. They're at 20, so that's highly unlikely at this point with infinite chumpers to cast because they have infinite cards in hand. Alright. Feel like we just got Splinter Twinned, but we will play it out, obviously. The land should go Godmaw plus crack the lander. And then I'd have to tap. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Because I'd have to tap 2 pollinators and 2 other permanents, so it'd just be less attacking creatures. So I can't actually be going for Godmaw here in the end. Delicacy just doesn't kill anything relevant. They have a 5/4 flyer, 7/7 in the sky, and a 7/7. Alright. I think I have to kill ship. Yeah, it's just doing too much damage too fast. Even though the Leviathan thing has a better ability, potentially drawing them more cards, the flying is pretty gnarly on a 7/7. That's a 3-turn kill. Especially alongside Reclaimer. Practically a 2-turn kill. And they drew so many cards off the first Starwinder trigger that they can't afford to draw too many more, or they have to worry about winning the game very quickly. Ten cards left over there. There's another way things can go. Let's say that they have 10 turns to kill us. I can't imagine. They've drawn all but the last 10 cards of their deck. They're 30 cards deep, and they've cast 1 removal spell the entire game. 30 cards deep, we've seen 1 removal spell. That makes me feel the odds of removal in hand are astronomically high. I don't think I can just play Godmaw and hold on to it for a future swing. I mean, I could play Godmaw without playing my land for turn, but then I'm only attacking with 2 creatures on its swing. I guess I could attack with the Godmaw itself as well, but that's as a 7/7. They just block with a 4/4 and a 3/1. Yeah, no, this is all just pretty bad. Only 1 reach creature over there, so we can send this in at least. That'll also trigger Flight Deck Coordinator. Do I play this land for turn and just pray to top deck another so that I could Godmaw without tapping Pollinator? Because it's not really tapping Pollinator, this problem is I'm tapping 2 of my potential attackers. And I guess the board is so wide, it doesn't really matter if I tap. It's just the beefy attackers that matter. 8 cards left in their deck. Infinite blockers to make sure Godma's relevant. And they only cast 4 mana worth of spells. They're holding 5 up here. Probably also just have instant speed removal. I guess I still should have played the land last turn, because that would have let me also crack the lander here. If we top-decked a land. If we didn't top-deck a land, it would have been way worse to have played that land, so... I guess it's not as cut and dry as I've been saying it, but... Well, this game ended the turn Starwinder hit the board. So I don't think it's all that relevant. I mean, if I give this whole board +1/+1 from here, they just let Godma through, trump the rest, and kill me on the crackback anyway. Hitting for 8 instead of 7 does not change the outcome of this game whatsoever. Although I do make them chump with one more creature, because if I had the extra mana as well, then... Oh wait, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to do that. If I had the extra mana, it would just be spent on this. I'd still have to go Pollinator and Pilot to be able to play this and Cracklelander. So I could either choose to crack the lander or choose to not have to tap these two. Just send those in as well. Excuse me. Might as well. We are already dead on board. If they just click attack all, we blocked a 6/6 and 3/1 and died everybody else. Sure, throw that in there too. All right. That was a rough game. Because, again, the only way that game changes is if we play out the turns before they got Starwinder differently. There was no way to apply enough pressure to try to kill them before they did that nonsense. I think the only line that wins us this game is pretty impossible to foresee, which is to just embrace Oblivion the kill ship before they station it. And there's absolutely no reason to do that when we're at like 26 life. Yeah, we were at 26 before it hit us. Like, the only card in the entire set, I'm pretty sure, that would make us really disappointed that we didn't Oblivion the kill ship instead of just keeping our pollinators around towards the Godma is the Starwinder. Because otherwise it's like we're sacrificing a genuine resource to embrace Oblivion, and we have plenty life to go around whenever they station the kill ship. Yeah, I mean, with the information we had at the time, I don't think it's even close to correct to embrace the kill ship, but that was the only line that would have given us a chance. And sometimes that's just how Magic tends to go. All right, 0-1 heading into game 2. Here we are for game 2. Solid opening hand, but we're on the draw again. So we are failing the play draw coin flips today. Okay. Well, we both have an insane 1-mana rare, but our opponent is on the play. If they don't immediately have removal for our chaplain, then its ability is a good counter to theirs. They could have the 1 white deal 2 damage to a tapped creature. So there's at least one card we could save Chaplain from by putting the counter on Chaplain instead of Pollinator. There's still definitely an argument to put the counter on Gene Pollinator, because if they have removal that could kill either card, then they're going to use it on Sunstar Chaplain anyway. So putting the counter somewhere where the counter is more likely to stick around could be the argument. Luckily, they just don't have the early removal. I think, honestly, if Sunstar Chaplain sticks around, I'm just happy to play against the Sunset Saboteur here. What they could have is the open fire, damage to an attacker or blocker, 2 plus number of creature controls of 4 damage, so Chaplain getting into combat would kill it here. Got 4 mana available if I use Pollinator. Just go Coordinator here and get a counter and stay out of combat for now. Dockworker Drone. Extended Saboteur. Make the Pollinator bigger again. Okay. Now we can go Diplomatic Relations plus Embrace Oblivion. Kill the drone first, because they could put the counters on Saboteur, and then I kill Saboteur. Let's go. It's be a hefty price on this Embrace Oblivion, that's for sure. Who would have known? So we got the focus fire out of the way now, so Chaplain is safer. Obviously, those early turns looked really weird, but we got the 100% confirmation they had the focus fire the whole time, so as weird as those lines were, they were the best lines we had available. Or at least they were much better than just plunging in. But maybe I could have still attacked with the Gene Pollinator, I guess, but I had a black spell in hand, no black source, so yeah, I could not afford to attack with Chaplain or Gene Pollinator into the focus fire. Yeah, that's straight up the best we had. Alright, let's see. Even if they have another focus fire, they can't kill this now. Because it only deals 3. That's the reason I didn't attack with Chaplain last turn, is that they could block plus focus fire also. And Chaplain is 100% worth 2 for wanting themselves to kill. Another Gene Pollinator, huh? Alright, interesting. It's kind of hard to cast, because I have a 5-mana combo right now. Which is 3 mana for a counter on Tenderfoot, and 2 to tap a creature with it each turn. I could play Pollinator and then just tap both in their end step, or when they go to combat here. But I don't need to tap Starfighter Pilot. Kind of want to just put a counter on the board and just tap Beckoner. Does make the pilot a lot more relevant here. And then a 4/5. Man, that was really, really good on this board. Genuinely fantastic. Perfect. Well, they have a great combat trick here then. See how bad we get blown out. Was it the life loss spell? Is it the target player loses 3? Be brutal too. The world may never know. Focus fire again. No, they skipped through combat there. Without casting anything. Could be Radiant Strike. They drew a Radiant Strike. I don't think there's any line to win this game. I guess if they drew Radiant Strike, I could literally just, like, play Agrarian Pass. Trying to think of the most likely things that make sense with how they sent last turn. And the fact that they couldn't cast an instant during combat there. I mean, you can cast Radiant Strike on your own creature, so I think it would have held for them. Alright, whatever. I'm tired. I'm not gonna play around the Radiant Strike here. It is not Radiant Strike. Wormwall Sweeper. Well, I gotta tap these anyway, so I might as well prevent the station option 2. Alright. Sometimes you gotta do incredibly weird lines that look super counterintuitive to win the game, but that's how you play around Focus Fire. Absolutely just no combat early, just sitting there getting eaten by a Saboteur. Just like, okay, I'm not even gonna crack back. I need this Pollinator, I need this Chaplain. We're chilling. Till eventually they had to blow it on other stuff, and then Chaplain has free reign to take over the game and win us the end there. Weird. Did not feel like a winning game at all, because when you're forced into making those really awkward plays of like losing out on so much early damage and stuff, like the Focus Fire is still getting value, even if it's not actually like killing the bomb creature. It is stopping a lot of early damage. So that went better than I thought it would, but we'll take it. 1-1 heading to game 3. This is a really great opener. Even if Pollinator dies, it has all our colors, and then the Scoutlander as well. Goes super crazy. It's like every 1-drop in the deck. No, don't Cryo Shatter a Gene, Pollinator. You're so rude, opponent. You're beyond rude. Alright. Can't tap the Pollinator and use its ability at all now. Pollinator is just going to be a random gain 4 in the late game when it chump blocks a 4/4. That's all it's accomplishing now. Sack a land or a lander, you say? Not an artifact? I can't sack this Gene Pollinator? Because that'd be pretty cool if I could. I'm not gonna chump block with my 1/1. I might as well get 1 power station. Draw 2, pass. Draw 2 land for turn pass. Draw 2, pass. Draw 2 and they don't hit a land still. That's kind of crazy. Okay. I like honoring our starport security. Then, even if there's no other creatures on board, its ability is ready to go. I don't like drawing more lands. We got some opposite issues going on at the opposite ends of the table. And I'm pretty concerned by the fact that they have 6 spells in hand and we have 0. But at least they don't have the mana to play a bunch of them at once. Oh man, more card draw. Plus make the Emissary Escort a 4/4. Seems pretty good. And that is a 2-turn station on Scanship. They don't go for the station though. We hit more mana, which is obviously pretty terrible. Station with 2 power to finish the Scoutlander. Just go double counter and hit them with my flyer here. Like, I could also security down the Escort and then Tenderfoot in instead, but then I'm only putting 1 counter on Tenderfoot and I hit for the exact same amount of damage without having a Station Scoutlander. Which could be the better play in some occasions. Like, if you're pretty confident your opponent has a board wipe in hand, then the better play is just push as much damage as you can without stationing Scoutlander yet. Which would be that alternate line. But I got no idea what they got over there. They just played a whale to the board, so they're still playing the board. And we have land 9, baby. We'll obviously make Tenderfoot at least a 5/5. But then there is the question between, do we want to tap somebody with starport security? Or do we want to get another counter? We tap whale with security and we're hitting for 8. They're down to 7. I could also just like hit for 6. Unless they chump with the whale. Be set up for even bigger attacks soon. I think I'm okay to hit for 2 less damage here. Or kill the whale. And then what I could do for like a really big damage swing, like if it looks like we're literally gonna lethal them, then we might as well Pollinator tap somebody down. Station. So until we kill one of their creatures, Sothera does literally nothing. So we have lethal. If they don't have a response here. Off of the kind of Gene Pollinator mana surge here. Just boop, 9 damage. They got the bounce. Oh, tap a creature, draw a card. Alright. They are still in it. Which means Sothera definitely has a chance to take over the game for them. Anytime one of their creatures dies, we have to exile a creature. Oh no, my flood! Sorry. And then, if anybody's out of creatures, then they just spit out one of the exiled creatures onto their board with some counters. And this is real bad. Because we are not breaking through that. Yeah, Sothera just shuts off Tenderfoot entirely. Like, even if they didn't have a hole carver here, they just block Tenderfoot and make me exile one of my creatures. Like, their chump blocks are all trades now, no matter what. And their trades are 2-for-1s. They trade into my creature and I sack another one. Sothera. Just a utter nightmare for me. If we can get Scoutlander in twice, it does win the game. So that's the goal now. Oh, that's so filthy. Because they can chump and still draw the card here, and then again, because Sothera, we exile a creature. Every kill is a trade. So I don't want to take those blocks. Now it's starting to get slightly more reasonable to do so. Take a block somewhere. If I chump, I don't actually have to sack anybody extra. I just do the chump. I like taking 2 and chumping here then. We're playing to our one out here, and it's just not working out because they are drawing all the protection they need. We draw removal for a whale, we get 3 damage in here. I should have realized last turn, I should have just blocked it for 12/12. It would have been the same as trumping. And just exile the token. Instead of chumping with the token. Because of how massive our Tenderfoot had gotten at that point. Oh. It's instinctually playing lands to maximize Tenderfoot. I forgot about Godma. All right, it can crack. We can crack the lander. It makes. But still, they can respond. I guess they could respond either way. Even if I had an extra land in hand, they could respond to its enter the battlefield effect to kill it before I play a land, because it has an enter the battlefield effect. Well, the only thing that happens here is I just wipe my whole board if I attack. Absolutely nothing to be gained. Like I said in Godma, they could block with Titan and Whale. I lose Godma and another creature. And they take no damage. If I attack with anybody else, they get a whole carver trade plus I exile another creature. We just needed them to finally not have the out. I mean, I guess the whale was still up, so they were fine to block there. Yeah, no, it actually wouldn't have even got there either way. So Thera too strong. Mental modulation, unironically winning our opponent the game here. Just not a statement I thought I'd be saying today. But so it is. Yeah, there's no way to play this towards victory. Because the only way to not die involves losing one of my creatures. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, it involves losing the whole board. Okay. Frustrating game, obviously, but that is just the way that things go in best of one sealed. And I already did my time. We got 2 boxes, so it is what it is. I thought this deck was way better than a 1-2 on average, but you saw what happened in those games. We flooded out absolutely gnarly in that that final loss there, and we still had that one really good surge turn where if they just didn't have one piece of interaction there, they were dead, and they had that piece of interaction to counter that lethal and take over the game with their mythic rare. That's going to happen. And our first loss, we got basically Splinter Twin combo. Oops, I draw 7 out of absolutely nowhere. Try to beat a 7 for 1. And if you've watched any of my previous drafts these last couple days of Outlaws of Thunder Junction, we have not beaten the 7 for 1 cruel ultimatums that keep getting shoved in my face. It's pretty impossible to beat a draw 7. So that's all it takes when it's best of 1 like that. One big swing and you are out. 1 and 2 it will be for what I thought was a very solid deck. Not one that I was like confident was going to 7-win or anything, but I thought definitely had what it took to hit a win rate at anywhere on the scale here. Probably around a 4-2 or 3-2 is what I would expect to get on average, with a chance of getting a 7-1 and a chance of getting a 1-2. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon for some more Magic Arena.